I'm going to go down on record saying this is a complete flop. I just cannot imagine any circumstance where this is successful. Welcome back to the Cold Blooded Caffeine Podcast. I'm Trey.
And I am McKendrick.
And you may have noticed something a little different. If you're a follower of the podcast, you might notice the new intro music. We're changing up quite a bit of stuff going into 2025. So this actually might be the first podcast on our new podcast channel on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or some other platform, that's not going to matter to you. But we have recently decided to spin off the Cold Blooded Caffeine Podcast to a separate YouTube channel, more for like the analytics and everything. So not having super long form content next to super short form content to help with that. So this may be the first video ever on that channel. Maybe not, depending on how some things go. How are you, McKendrick?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you. It's getting close to Christmas, so it's a busy time of year for us. We have quite a few new events coming up. We've got a big one Friday with Toys for Tots for one of our local news channels.
Yeah.
Got a couple of, maybe a tentative event next week as well. Construction coffee thing going on. So got a lot of going on, busy time of year, but also kind of the season of freshness, right? So coming into the new year, starting fresh stuff. Speaking of that, we've got a little bit of a different flow to the podcast going forward. So we're going to have a couple of different segments. They may change over time a little bit depending on what we've got, but we got two new segments to start, and then we got a main topic. So today's topic of the week is we're going to talk about some changes that Cold Blooded Caffeine is going to be making to our sourcing strategy and why we're going to be doing that. So that'll be towards the end of the podcast. We're going to talk about that. But first up, a new segment that we like to call In the News. Fun background music. Look at that. All right. So we're going to talk about a couple of news articles that we just came across.
Very random.
Very random articles that we came across that were somewhat coffee and or conservation related that we thought were interesting, and then we'll kind of give our reactions to those. You want to kick us off?
Sure, I'll get us kicked off. So, I've been looking at a lot of TikTok videos recently.
You have been ticking and talking.
Yep. And there's a new phenomenon that's happening on TikTok.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Set to take off in 2025 as a result of the TikTok sensation. They're going to be onion lattes.
Oh, dear. No, it's not.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do a follow-up video on
onion lattes.
When he mentioned the story to me, I questioned its authenticity.
20 million views of people making onion lattes on TikTok.
I have not seen this yet. I do watch a fair amount of TikTok. Apparently, I'm watching the wrong or the right kind of TikTok. I don't know. You might be looking at the wrong kind of TikTok. All right. So stay tuned for a video about that pretty soon. How would you feel about onion lattes?
Terrible. It says that most have it chilled on an onion ice latte, but some have it heated up for a warm, spicy treat.
I just can't imagine
lattes.
When I think of lattes and when I think of things that I like with lattes, they are things that complement the natural flavors of the coffee. So things like cinnamon and maybe like nutmeg or something that like,
but not onion.
Onion does not jump into my mind.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a shocker.
Do you think this is so? When I force you to taste this because it's coming, do you think is there any inkling of a possibility that this tastes good? You're going on record right now in all seriousness saying that an onion latte is going to taste even slightly good.
Come on, man. It's 20 million views this year alone.
Well, but that doesn't mean that
everybody can't be wrong.
Well, I mean, views doesn't mean that it tastes good. Views means that they want to watch somebody do something silly, right?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm going on record to say I think that there's a possibility that it may be okay.
I don't want to be the stuck up coffee snob
You sound like
because
it. Doesn't he sound like it, ladies and
gentlemen? I've always said, drink what you enjoy. See? It doesn't matter.
But not now.
I just can't fathom any way that this tastes remotely good. I will admit if I'm wrong, but I cannot imagine that this is good.
Hit the breaking news so you can get yours started.
Oh, I hit the wrong button already. Look at that. Yeah, that was the wrong button. All right. Breaking news round 2. All right. So Taco Bell has announced that they are entering the coffee space. I don't know if you saw this news, where they are going to be opening Live Más cafes. They're starting in San Diego, and they're going to try and compete. Actually, their words were they are going to try and, how do they say, disrupt the beverage industry.
Taco Bell coffee. I mean, I feel just
as well as like they're going to have like iced stuff like ice creams and some specialty sodas, fruity iced drinks.
I feel like they just had counter space and didn't know what to do with it, so they wanted to put a coffee maker and grinder.
I just like when I first heard the story, I mentioned it to you. I am thinking of every Taco Bell that I've ever seen, and they've never been more than a mile from a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts.
That's why they're disrupting.
I just can't imagine that Taco Bell is going to put out a product that is better. I mean, I don't particularly like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, but in that space, I can't imagine that they're going to put a product out there that's can compete with those two. Again, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they did research on this. I know that McDonald's came out with their concept. Was it Cosmic or something like that? Cafe with their concept. But McDonald's has a track record of having pretty decent coffee for like fast food. So I was more okay with that idea with like McDonald's coming out with like a cafe.
But what's the difference?
It's Mexican food. It's Taco Bell.
Coffee beans that come from Mexico.
I mean, that's fine. That's fair. Okay.
They got a grip on the market. They're going to sell coffee only from Mexico.
Going from a restaurant, I use that loosely, do they serve coffee now?
Do they serve breakfast?
Yeah, they do. They do the breakfast tacos and stuff. But
this is the evolution.
I just like from going from something like, again, McDonald's jumping from McCafe to having a dedicated standalone. Okay, I get it. They were kind of popular with their coffee. Let's try it as standalone. But Taco Bell going from zero to
they probably don't see it as zero.
Okay.
They got breakfast. This is another breakfast. If people are coming there to get
breakfast.
They're not.
But this is a standalone store, right? This isn't a breakfast.
Live Más Cafe.
No, the Live Más Cafe is, but this isn't like at their regular Taco Bells that they're going to serve coffee. It's correct. A standalone store.
That they're going to serve breakfast?
I don't know. It didn't say anything about breakfast.
It's probably going to be breakfast and coffee, I think.
It says newly open cafe featuring a beverage-centric menu that includes milkshakes, coffee, fruity iced drinks, and a take on a dirty soda trend with its trademark Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I do not see anywhere in here where they're going to have food. It says beverage-centric.
All right. So they are literally competing with Dunkin' Donuts.
They are literally competing with... So they say in here that they are... competing with Starbucks and Dunkin', and also quickly expanding chains such as Dutch Brothers, Swig, and Scooters Coffee.
More power to them, man.
I just can't see such a highly competitive market. I just can't imagine.
They sold onion lattes. I think
maybe that's what they're going to do. They're going to hit the TikTok trend. That'll be narrow enough
niche to get the popularity from TikTok by serving onion lattes at Live Más Cafe.
All right. Well, I'm going to go down on record saying this is a complete flop. And I can't imagine. That one? Yeah, I just cannot imagine any circumstance where this is successful.
So we're going to be replaying this clip in like 6 years.
There's going to be like one right across the street from us, and I will be wrong, and I will have to walk across the street and get a Live Más Cafe. Oh, the best part, they're calling their staff Bellristas.
Oh my gosh.
Nope. There you go.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Okay.
That's it.
That concludes our In the News segment, which is right there. There you go. In the news.
Now
all
you
right.
know.
Now you know
You're
all the
educated.
things that you didn't need to know. All right, next up is our question of the week. All right, so each week we're going to ask a question. It could be about coffee. It could be about reptiles. It could be about anything in general, just fun stuff. So we'll ask a question of the week just for you guys to get to know us a little bit better, our preferences, our likes and dislikes. All right, so this question of the week is, what is one food or drink item that you loved as a child that is still nostalgic to you today? That might not be like super, super common. Like, you know, everybody loves pizza as a kid, but you eat pizza.
You said drink though, right?
Food or drink.
Oh, food
or
drink.
drink. What food or drink that you really, really loved as a kid that you maybe haven't had in a while that you eat and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. It's super nostalgia.
No.
You want me to start?
Go.
When I was a kid, we would ride our bikes down to a convenience store in town. I lived in a very, very small town, and so we would ride our bikes to this convenience store and we would get ice cream. And I would always get an ice cream sandwich with chocolate chips in it, and my brother would get this like sherbet ice cream cone thing with a gumball in the bottom of it.
Okay.
And to this day, if I have an ice cream sandwich with chocolate chips in it, I know that it's not good ice cream. I know that it's not, but it just hits a special spot that takes you back to that like innocence and you know, freedoms of riding your bike as a kid and not having responsibilities and stuff. So that's mine.
So mine would probably be, from a candy standpoint, Chico sticks.
Oh, okay.
So Chico sticks were like so funny. We had a guy in the neighborhood that I grew up in that used to sell candy, and he also used to sell like like ices.
This was a grown man.
This was a grown man
to children.
Talk about how times have changed.
All right, yeah, that would have been phone calls made if that was
lots.
All right,
and my friends
homemade ice
grew up. And shout out to Windermere Subdivision in Augusta, Georgia. Chico sticks. He was the candy guy, and ices. From a grown man.
There's a felony in there somewhere. I'm just not exactly sure where it is.
Oh, yeah. Those were the good old days.
We'll just go with the obvious of definitely not having a food and beverage license to make his ices.
Probably not. They were good, though. They were good. They probably weren't that consistent. Some days they were a lot sweeter.
Gosh.
The grape was really good, though. The grape was really good.
All right. Homemade ices and Chico sticks. All right.
The good old days.
Now you know. Again, learn more about Cold Blooded Caffeine that you didn't know coming into this.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So,
moving right along. So, finally, our main topic of this week, we want to talk about some updates that we're going to have to the sourcing strategy going into 2025. It's been on my mind quite a bit lately that I want to continue improving both the quality of the coffee we serve or the quality of the coffee we sell, but also the sourcing of that coffee, making sure that it's from the best sources in terms of sustainability and in terms of like labor and treatment and everything like that.
But this doesn't change that, right? So we're still... So right now,
it improves it, right? So that's the whole point that we're getting to, is that we were having, as a young business and as a, you know, startup, having to make some concessions on things where we were taking some blender coffees and mixing those in order to compete competitively within the market. Now we've gotten to a point where we can compete based on volume a little bit better, and so we've been able to pass that saving. It's not necessarily the price of the coffee is not going to change, but we're going to instead use that margin to buy better quality coffee, and specifically coffee that is either 100% Rainforest Alliance certified or coffee that is specifically calling out conservation in there. Like when we talk to the farmers or the importers, they're doing initiatives within their farm specific to conservation.
So do you think, so, you know, that's kind of been our tagline the entire time of what we've been doing, right? So,
and we've been donating back to organizations that were like Rainforest Alliance and some others
that are already in that space,
that are working in that space, that are doing work in conservation in coffee producing countries.
So now
and a lot of our coffees were already Rainforest Alliance certified, just not to the extent where we could say 100% of our coffees are Rainforest Alliance certified and or conservation centric coffees, because there's a couple of different, I say that because there's a couple of different organizations that may not be Rainforest Alliance certified, but they are like similar status.
It's kind of like when people say high quality, that doesn't necessarily mean specialty grade, right? So it's kind of like people get into the semantics of certain things, and it's almost like a play on the public a little bit versus like when we say now we are 100% Rainforest certified.
We want to put a metric to that because, if you just say high quality, that's a marketing word that might not mean anything.
Right.
Right? I mean, it does. Like we've always said we're high quality because we source 100% specialty grade coffee, but we're going to take it a step further now. So it's still 100% specialty grade coffee, but we're taking it an extra step to make sure that we're ensuring that every bag of coffee that we source and sell comes from a Rainforest Alliance certified farm and or a farm that is practicing conservation on a level that we think is warranted of that higher price.
And I mean, but we were able to do this though, even with our current importer, right? So we didn't necessarily have to change our importer to do this.
We were just able to speak with them and work out some logistics on making sure that we can get the higher quality coffee for a price that would work with our margins.
Right. Now, that also doesn't change the variety that we have either, right?
It doesn't. It's going to limit some things, so we're going to have to find some substitutions for things that were not previously Rainforest Alliance. So, like, I'm just going to throw out, like, we currently have a Rwandan coffee that we use in our light roast blend, our Cloud Forest blend. That Rwandan is not Rainforest Alliance certified, whereas other coffees in that blend are Rainforest Alliance certified. So technically the coffee would be Rainforest Alliance certified because it's more than 50% Rainforest.
Is that what it is?
50? Yeah. Okay. So I can't remember the exact number. It's less than 50%, but I personally wouldn't call it Rainforest Alliance certified if it was less than 50%.
Okay.
I think it's like 10%.
So it's not like because a lot of times, like when we were doing the research before we started supplying like the Blue Mountain Jamaica coffee or the Hawaiian Kona, it only needed to be like 10%.
Yeah, it might be the same. I don't remember off the top of my head. It might be the same with being 10% Rainforest Alliance. No, that coffee currently it's a blend of 3 coffees. 2 of the 3 are Rainforest Alliance certified.
Gotcha.
The third is not. We're going to replace that third one with a Rainforest Alliance certified, and we already have that in house. So it's going to be an Ethiopian that's going to fill that Rwandan. So there's going to be a little bit of change. I mean, we're still going to try and keep the diversity when we're talking about like Central and South American coffees, African coffees, and
Correct.
Southeast Asian coffees. But it may tweak a little bit the regions and or countries that we can get those from when we're talking about specialty or selectively sourcing those for Rainforest Alliance or conservation organizations.
Gotcha.
So, and so, I mean, we wanted to say it here so that we could try and explain it in a long form, but we'll also be making some posts about it. And we're going to be talking to, because some of our affiliates coffees have also those mixes. So we're going to have to talk to them about restructuring some of their coffees if they're not Rainforest Alliance certified to make sure that they can also participate going forward, which, I mean, the few that I've talked to so far have been 100% supportive of it. So it's not going to be a problem. It's just going to be a little bit of work to fiddle with the formulas to make sure that the flavor profile stays consistent as to what people were expecting from us. So that's really the main topic that we wanted to talk about today, because it's something that aligns with our values very well, and it's it may sound easy to say that all the coffees are Rainforest Alliance certified. There's a lot that goes into that. Like, there's a lot of certifications throughout the supply chain that have to take place for that to happen. It's a lot of work on our end in terms of documentation. Like, we have to document. Like, I literally have to document every roast, note every bag that goes out and where it's shipped to, so that we can keep our Rainforest Alliance certification on our end.
Now, is the Rainforest, and again, I'm engaging in this conversation, right, to allow people to also get a better understanding. So with Rainforest Alliance certified, what about storage? Is there any special requirements for how we store?
Yes, in our facility, green coffee, yes. So Rainforest Alliance has to have separated flow. So it has to be segregated from other green coffee. So you have to have a separate section for Rainforest Alliance coffee. So like we have a specific palette that's separated from the rest of the green coffee that has all the Rainforest Alliance coffee on it.
But now,
and then, well, it's even more than that. And then you have to have separated documented rows. So like where we set the coffee to prep to grind it, it has to have a separate row for Rainforest Alliance certified coffee versus non-Rainforest. Now it's a little bit easier for us because all of our coffees Rainforest Alliance certified.
That's what I was going to next.
But there has to be a documented lane for Rainforest Alliance certified coffees versus non-Rainforest Alliance certified coffees, as well as bagging and sealing. So there's a lot of work. It's the similar idea of organic versus non-organic.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have organic coffee, we're not organic certified. Facility. We buy organic coffees, but our facility is not organic certified, so we cannot sell organic.
So do
coffee.
we actually maintain a certificate for Rainforest Alliance? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Where's that?
on my computer.
Not printed, not on the wall, not proud. Come on, man. Let's get this thing printed on the wall.
But so it's easy to say that we're Rainforest Alliance certified, or we're selling 100% Rainforest Alliance certified coffee. It's a harder thing to actually do it.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal for us. It's a big step for us internally. Like I feel really good about saying this announcement. You might be like, oh, okay. Like we kind of expected that the whole time. And rightfully so. Like that's fine. I mean, that is our mission. But when you start a business, you start with what you can do. And we've been working for 3 years to get to the point where we can announce that it's 100% Rainforest Alliance certified. Because it's just like there's the amount of coffee in the world is huge. Like the amount of green coffee in the world versus the amount of coffee that's Rainforest Alliance certified is very small. So we have to pay quite a bit more for this coffee. And even if I say importer, I only want Rainforest Alliance certified coffee, they just don't have that much of it. Like it's just not always there. So it's a lot of work in terms of logistics and sourcing and all that kind of stuff to make sure that we can do that and maintain a consistent flow of coffee. So, and
the other thing is but you still need to make sure people don't feel like they've been shortchanged up until now without having 100%.
100, yeah, absolutely. So we did not mark anything as Rainforest Alliance certified until we could do it 100%. So none of our bags said Rainforest Alliance certified coffee, even though there was Rainforest Alliance certified coffee in it. It didn't claim to be until we were 100% confident that we could do it 100%, because that was our goal, that was our mission, and we didn't want to settle for anything less. And so you're going to see a lot more stuff about Rainforest Alliance certification coming out from us coming into the new year.
Yeah, just some new content.
So we'll talk about what that means. But the reality
is people are still getting good quality.
It's going to be better. I mean, there's some really, some of the coffees that we're getting in are really, really good coffees. I'm really proud of them. And the cool thing is we also wanted to make sure we could do it without making significant price increases. So right now we're not going to be increasing any of the prices for the bags of coffee. So we're going to try and keep everything as seamless as possible. If you've had a subscription for a year or two and you're used to getting this coffee and this is the coffee you like, we want to make sure that you continue to get that similar.
We actually want you to get more.
We actually, go buy more.
More.
Try a little bit of everything.
Increase your subscription from once a month to four times a month.
4 times a month. Yeah,
every week.
Yeah.
52.
Or just get 4 bags once a month. That's
4
fine.
bags. Hey, whatever floats your boat.
If you're only getting 1 bag a month, what are you doing? I know you're drinking more coffee than that. I know you're drinking more coffee than that.
Slackers, man. Slackers.
So that's good. That's it.
Good stuff, man.
So that's the podcast for this week. We hope you like the new format. If you haven't already, we would really appreciate it if you would go over to our new podcast channel. It's just Cold Blooded Caffeine Podcast in YouTube. Subscribe to that. If you're on Spotify or Apple or whatever, still go over there and give us a sub, even if you listen to the audio version only. Really helps us out.
And if you want your question answered, we'll do a question of the week every week.
Sure.
So if someone comments a question, Drop it in the chat or
add
drop
it to the
on
list
the
of the
comment.
questions.
We'll add it to the list that we can answer each week to make sure we are, as the folks say, giving the people what they want.
That's right. All right, McKendrick, we're gonna end this bad boy with our old outro. Heading out. Cold Blooded Caffeine Podcast is brought to you by Cold Blooded Caffeine. We are a specialty coffee roaster sourcing 100% Rainforest Alliance certified coffees. Check us out at coldbloodedcaffeine.com. And also brought to you by the Coffee Run, also sourcing 100% Rainforest Alliance certified coffee. How do they do it? I don't know. It might come from the same place as the first sponsor. The Coffee Run Coffee Delivery Service is your locally owned coffee delivery service serving Charleston and the greater Charleston area. If you are in the area and want coffee for your business, check us out at coffeerundelivery.com. That was fun. We'll check you again next week. I mean it this time. Next week.
2025.
No, it's still 2024.
I know.
Next week's still 2024.
Soon, though.
You're not getting out of it. All right. Great. We'll see you again next week.
Peace.
Bye.